What's going on, everybody? Today I just want to go over really quickly how to shoot in 1/5 shutter speed with the Blackmagic Pro cinema camera, the 6K version. This is a really cool look that I've been wanting to do for a long time now. And as you saw in the test footage at the beginning, it's a super grungy, super almost distorted kind of effect. And when you're able to do these things actually in camera instead of doing it all in post, it just adds that extra bit of not only realness, but also it makes you spend less time in post-production. So I really like the look of this style, and I want to be able to show you guys how to make it as well. So let's just go ahead and jump into it. All right, so to actually get started and get the camera set up so that it's ready for 1/5 shutter speed, you also have to be shooting in 5 frames per second. And to do this, you can't actually go down to 5 frames per second on the BMPCC6K. You can only go to 23.98. So what you're gonna have to do is go ahead and set that back to whatever you had it at and click on off speed frame rate. And from there, you'll be able to go much higher or lower. So what I like to do is just go all the way down to 5. So it's just off speed frame rate and then set that to 5. And this is actually super convenient because then it's a one tap button when you want to shoot something like this. For the frame rate at least. So it'll show in the top left you're at 5 and 24, and as you can see when I move the camera around, it's already in that slow frame rate now. That gives it that jittery look almost. So go ahead and click out of the frames per second panel and then go into shutter speed, and now as you can see the shutter speed, just based off the frames per second alone, they're displaying lower shutter speeds. So I'm gonna go ahead and click on 1/5. Right now it just made it super bright, but my ISO is really high up. I'll just set it low for now, but the shutter speed is now at 1/5, and so this is what's gonna give you that look of the footage where it's not only choppy, but it's also dragging the lights and like everything in the footage. So let me just go back to, I'll go to 60 frames per second. As you can see now it's still jittery, but the footage isn't being dragged on the screen as much. Whereas if I put it into 1/5, now everything is being blurred. You can't see the letters as much on the keyboard. And this is what kind of look that I was actually going for. I was really happy when I finally figured out how to do it. I will say there's one flaw to shooting like this, because you're shooting 5 frames per second with a 1/5 of a shutter speed, and I really haven't figured out a workaround for this. But there's no, you're gonna film say for a full minute, but only the first 5 seconds of that minute will be actual footage. After you shoot for your minute, it's not going to give you 5 minutes worth of footage that looks like that, because it's going to be like 5 frames per second. So it'll be 5 times shorter than however many seconds you had shot, which obviously you can slow the footage down in post-production to make it last as long as you had intended. But what I've realized works better is to shoot basically 5 times longer of a clip than you would need, so that it looks that you don't have to shorten it or make it slower in post-production, because I personally like the look of this, but like I said, there's that one flaw, so you just have to shoot a lot more than you might have imagined. But so that's pretty much it for how to actually shoot in 1/5 frames per second or 1/5 shutter speed and in 5 frames per second. I'm going to go ahead and turn that off. Just remember the off speed frame rate, since you can't just manually do it yourself. You have to do off speed frame rate and then go ahead into shutter speed. You can play around with this, obviously. There's no defined rules, but I prefer the 1/5 shutter speed. I think that's what what always works best for me. Hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial, and if you have any questions or comments, feel free to leave one below, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. But other than that, have a good one and peace out.